Fight night just arrived. And no, I'm not talking about Mayweather stepping back into the ring. I'm talking about Mendeecees and Sierra turning a casual love and hip-hop reunion into an all-out WWE Royal Rumble. Did somebody order drama with extra chaos on the side? Because chilly, the streets are eating this one up. Picture it, a room full of cameras. Reality stars sipping champagne like nothing's wrong. Until boom, Sierra drops the baby bombshell like she's auditioning for Maury the Remix. And suddenly Mendeecees is on his feet, looking like he's ready to call Judge Judy and Jan Levans in at the same damn time. Now here's my question. Is this about the truth? Or is it just another episode of Let's Ruin Yandhi Peace for ratings? Because let's be honest, this show has more plot twists than a Netflix thriller, and none of us can look away. Alleged secret babies, messy accusations, whispers in the green room, and y'all, the tension was so thick, even the boom mic was shaking. So, buckle up because this isn't just drama. This is love and hip-hop history in the making. The tension inside the love and hip-hop circle has officially reached a boiling point, and what started as whispers behind closed doors has now erupted into a moment that nobody could have predicted. It all begins with Sierra, who has never been one to hold back her thoughts, stepping forward with a shocking allegation about Yandhi. According to Sierra, Yandhi may be hiding a secret connected to her family life. Something involving another child, a baby that the public doesn't know about. Now, if you've been following the Love and Hip Hop cast for years, you know that these kinds of claims aren't just petty shade, they cut deep. Family is the one area where people draw the line, and to even hint at something as sensitive as a hidden child is dangerous territory. The second Sierra's words left her mouth, the energy in the room shifted. Whispers turned into wide-eyed stares and all eyes landed on Mendeecees. Mendeecees is usually calm and collected. He's been through real battles in life, from legal troubles to rebuilding his career and relationship in front of millions. He knows how to keep his cool, but when it comes to Yandhi, his wife, he doesn't play games. The moment Sierra's words hit his ears, it wasn't just gossip anymore. It was an attack on the woman he loves and the family he's built. Reports from the set reveal that Mendeecees wasted no time. He stepped directly to Sierra, closing the distance with a look that told everyone in the room this wasn't going to end with just words. The tension was thick, the type of silence that comes right before an explosion. Cast members who were used to shade and playful arguments were suddenly faced with a confrontation that felt too raw to be staged. Mendeecees asked Sierra, straight up, "Where did you hear that from?" His voice was firm, and his body language made it clear he wasn't joking. Sierra, unfazed, stood her ground. She repeated her claim, adding fuel to the fire. Whether she truly believed it or was just stirring the pot for drama, it didn't matter anymore. The line had been crossed for Yandhi. Sitting back and watching this unfold was emotional. She spent years defending her marriage, her role as a mother, and her position in the love and hip-hop spotlight. To have Sierra bring something like this up not only blindsided her, but also painted her in a corner where silence could be seen as guilt. Yandhi's face told it all: hurt, anger, disbelief, all wrapped in one. Meanwhile, the rest of the cast didn't know how to react. Some tried to jump in and calm things down, while others were glued to the scene like it was must-see TV happening. In real life, it's one thing to throw shade about someone's career, money, or relationships, but children, that's sacred ground. And Sierra had just crossed it. Mendeecees, in that moment, wasn't just defending Yandhi. He was defending his entire household, his reputation, and the years of hard work he'd put in to rebuild his image. The confrontation grew louder, voices overlapping as Sierra refused to back down, and Mendeecees refused to let it slide. This wasn't a typical love and hip-hop argument where people throw a drink and storm off. This was chest-to-chest, nose-to-nose energy. The cast could feel it. The cameras caught it, and fans who later heard about it couldn't believe what went down behind the scenes. Producers were scrambling. On one hand, they know drama sells, this is love and hip-hop after all. But on the other hand, real violence is never the goal. When Mendeecees leaned, pointing his finger at Sierra, security had already started inching closer, ready to step. And if things got physical, Sierra, for her part, wasn't showing any signs of fear. She clapped back, raising her voice and throwing her hands as she explained why she believed what to her, it was just keeping it real, exposing what she thought the world deserved to know. To Mendeecees, it was pure disrespect. A shouting match intensified. Yandhi finally spoke up. Her voice cracked with emotion as she demanded Sierra, stop spreading lies. Yandy explained that her family has already endured so much in the public eye, and for Sierra to use something so personal as Emma was beyond low. But Sierra wasn't backing down. Her stance was that she was only saying what she'd heard. And if it wasn't true, Yandy should clear it up instead of coming at her. That statement only made things worse, because from Mendeecees' perspective, Sierra wasn't just attacking Yandy, she was questioning his integrity as a man and as a father. The room grew hotter, the argument sharper, and it was clear to everyone watching that this wasn't just another TV moment. This was real life colliding with reality television in the ugliest way possible. Fans who later caught wind of the confrontation were divided. Some argued that Sierra went too far by even mentioning something so serious without proof. Others claimed that if there's smoke, there might be fire, and Sierra was just bold enough to say what others were whispering. Either way, the impact was undeniable. Mendeecees, usually a man who carries himself with calm confidence, was pushed to a limit we rarely see. He paced back and forth, gesturing with his hands, his voice rising to a level that forced even the loudest castmates into silence. Sierra kept throwing her words like daggers, while Yandy's eyes welled up with tears, the weight of it all pressing down on her. By the time producers and security fully stepped in to separate them, the damage had already been done. Friendships were fractured, trust was broken, and the love and hip-hop family was shaken. This wasn't something that could be laughed off at the reunion show. This was deep, and it was only the beginning of what would spiral into one of the messiest feuds in the franchise's history. What made it even more intense was the fact that all of this went down off camera first, before spilling into the scenes we'd later see. That's what gave it that raw, unscripted feel. Because when emotions are real, the cameras don't need to do much. The truth tells its own story. And in that moment, the truth was simple. Mendeecees wasn't going to let anyone, not even a fellow cast member, disrespect his wife and family. Sierra had poked the bear, and the explosion that followed left the entire cast stunned. But the real question remained, was Sierra telling the truth, or was she creating chaos for clout? The answer would only reveal itself in the fallout to come, and that's where things got even messier. The scene was already on edge, but as the seconds ticked by, the tension refused to fade. If anything, it grew thicker, like the air itself was charged with electricity. Mendeecees stood firmly, his expression locked, his voice sharp enough to cut through the chatter in the room. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't playing for the cameras. This wasn't about a storyline anymore. This was real. You're not going to play with my family like that, Mendeecees said, staring directly at Sierra. His tone wasn't loud, but it was heavy. The kind of delivery that makes everyone freeze because they know something serious is about to go down. Sierra, for her part, didn't back down. She folded her arms across her chest, gave a small laugh, and said, "Mendeecees, ain't nobody playing with your family. But if something looks like the truth, I must speak on it. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at the situation." That sentence, it hit like a bomb. The room gasped. People shifted in their seats. A few cast members whispered to each other, trying to process what they had just heard. Yandy, sitting just a few steps away, turned her head sharply toward Sierra. Her face went from confusion to disbelief, then quickly hardened into something that looked like pure fury. "Excuse me," Yandy fired back, her voice rising. "Don't you ever insinuate nothing like that about me. I don't care if these cameras here, or not. That's straight disrespect. And you know what you join." The producers in the background scrambled, trying to decide whether to step in or let the drama play out, but by now, it was way past the point of no return. The confrontation had officially turned into a showdown. Mendeecees took one step closer to Sierra, his body language sending a clear message. He was done with the back and forth. "Nah," he said, pointing a finger. "You don't get to drag my wife and throw dirt on her name. You sitting up here talking reckless, and for what? Reckless, and for what? Clout, attention. That's what this about, right?" Sierra shook her head, but her smirk never disappeared. "Mendeecees don't act brand new. You know, people been whispering. I ain't start this. I'm just the one saying it out loud. If it wasn't true, it wouldn't even be a conversation." The crowd erupted again. Some castmates gasped. Others put their heads down, not wanting to get caught in the crossfire. But one thing was certain. Sierra had just doubled down and there was no taking it back. Yandy stood up, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. She walked right towards Sierra, her eyes locked on her, and said, "First of all, Don't you ever in your life come for me about something you don't know nothing about. Second of all, if you want to talk about whispers, let's talk about the whispers around you. Don't make me pull receipts. The entire set exploded in noise. Cast members yelling, producers trying to control the chaos, security already on edge. But the core of it all, the fiery triangle between Mendeecees, Yandhi and Sierra wasn't cooling down. Mendeecees, visibly frustrated, turned his attention back to Sierra. You crossing a line you can't come back from. My wife, my kids, they off limits. I don't care how much drama you try and disture. You not gone sit here and create lies about no baby, about no secret life. That ain't it. But Sierra didn't flinch. Instead, she leaned in just slightly, her tone calm, but cutting. Mendeecees, if it's not true, then why you so pressed? People only get mad when they got something to hide. That line right there, it was gasoline on fire. Yandhi immediately lunged forward, her hands in the air, pointing directly at Sierra. Oh, you got me messed up. Don't play with me. Girl. You, not gone. Sit up here and try to paint me as something I'm not. I've worked too hard, been through too much, and I'll be damned if you try to ruin me with some fake-ass rumors. Security moved in fast, trying to create a barrier before things got physical. Mendeecees had his arms stretched out in front of Yandhi, pushing her back just enough to keep her from making contact. His face was tight with anger, but you could see the struggle. He wanted to defend his wife, but he also didn't want this to spiral into a fight on national television. On the other side, Sierra wasn't budging. If anything, her confidence seemed to grow the more the argument escalated. She leaned back in her chair, adjusted her hair, and said loudly enough for everyone to hear. See this the problem? Y'all so worried about appearances that y'all forget the truth. Gone, come out anyway. So go ahead, try to silence me, but the street's already talking. At that moment, the entire cast was officially divided. Some nodded, as if they understood where Sierra was coming from. Others shook their heads, clearly siding with Yandhi and Mendeecees. But no matter where anyone stood, one fact was undeniable. This drama had just gone from 0 to 100, and the damage was already done. The cameras caught every second. Yandhi's fiery expressions, Mendeecees' clenched fists, Sierra's smug smile, and the cast's horrified reactions. It was reality TV gold. But for the people living it, it was raw, it was ugly, and it was personal. After a brief pause, Mendeecees finally turned toward the producers, his voice booming. Yo, either y'all get this under control or I'm out. I'm not about to sit here and let nobody disrespect my wife on no false narrative. That's not happening. But Sierra wasn't done. She leaned forward, her voice sharp as ever. Leave then. If you can't handle the truth, walk away. But don't act like I'm the villain for saying what everybody else just scared to say. The clash was unstoppable. The producers begged them to take a break, urging the cast to step aside and cool down. But the energy in the room was too explosive to reel. For the first time in a long time, the line between reality and reality TV had completely blurred. This wasn't just entertainment. This was people's families, their reputations, their livelihoods, and every single person in that room knew the fallout from this moment wasn't going to disappear when the cameras stopped rolling. And as Mendeecees and Yandhi tried to hold their ground while Sierra refused to back down, the entire love and hip-hop world was left asking the same question. Was this just drama for TV? Or had Sierra just cracked open a scandal nobody was ready to face? The room stayed thick with tension, and the producers were almost hesitant to step in. They knew the cameras were rolling, and every second was television gold. But what was happening between Mendeecees and Sierra wasn't just another love and hip-hop argument. It was personal, and the emotions were raw. As Mendeecees stood, his energy shifted from anger to something more controlled, but still heavy. He paced back and forth, clearly trying to gather his thoughts. Meanwhile, Sierra sat with her arms folded, not willing to back down. She had said what she said, and she wasn't about to take it back. See, that's the problem with y'all, Mendeecees said, pointing towards Sierra and anyone who seemed to nod in agreement with her. Y'all don't understand the damage this does. I got kids. I got a family. My wife Yandhi already been through enough because of the streets, because of jail, because of me trying to change. And now y'all want to throw this mess into the mix. Nah, I can't let that slide. Sierra tilted her head and gave him a cold stare. Mendeecees, don't make this about your past. I didn't bring up none of that. I'm talking about what I heard. And, if it ain't true, then clear it up. simple, but for Mendeecees, it wasn't that simple. Clearing it up meant giving credibility to something he felt was nothing but gossip. It meant addressing a rumor in front of the world. A rumor that would follow him long after the camera stopped rolling. The cast members sat frozen, unsure of whether to intervene or let the storm rage on. Young Jock finally leaned forward, trying to ease the fire. Yo, hold up. We can't let this get ugly. Sierra, if you had a question, maybe you called to ask behind closed doors, not in front of everybody. You know how fast this type of talk spreads, Sierra smirked. Behind closed doors, please. Half the time behind closed doors, y'all covering up stuff. Anyway, at least I'm keeping it real. That jab hit everyone in the room differently. For Mendeecees, it was like another spark to the flame. Keeping it real, he shot back. Ain't nothing real about spreading lies. If you wanted to be real, you would have came to me, Orion-D, direct, not stood up here looking for clout. The words lookin' for clout set off a wave of murmurs around the room. Sierra's face hardened, her voice rising. I don't need clout. Off you, Mendeecees, don't get it twisted. My name hold weight in these streets and in the show. But if I see something funny, I'ma call it out. And if that makes you uncomfortable, maybe you got something to hide. The moment she said that, a loud gasp echoed in the room. That was the line nobody expected her to cross. Even some of the cast who weren't close with Mendeecees shook their heads as if to say, that's too far. Mendeecees stopped pacing and locked eyes with Sierra. His voice dropped low, calm, almost chilling. Listen, the streets already tried to take me down. Prison tried to take me down. People who said they loved me tried to take me down. But I'm still standing. Don't you ever mistake my silence for weakness. You don't know what I got going on, and you don't got the right to speak on my family. The weight of his words shifted the atmosphere in the room. For a moment, Sierra hesitated, as if realizing just how deeply she'd cut. But she wasn't one to apologize easily, especially on camera. I hear you, she said finally, her tone less sharp, but still guarded. But Mendeecees people talk, and if I don't bring it up, somebody else will. At least now you can defend yourself. The exchange had taken a strange turn. What started as a fiery confrontation was now revealing something deeper, the battle between reputation and reality, between loyalty and exposure. Mendeecees wasn't just fighting a rumor. He was fighting to protect his family's honor. In a world where every misstep became a headline, that moment, Yandi finally spoke, up from the sidelines. Her voice was calm but firm, carrying the authority of someone used to leading through chaos. Enough, both of y'all. Sierra, I don't know what you heard or who told you, but let me make this clear. I love my husband. I trust my husband. And if there was a baby out there, I would know before anybody. So, stop trying to insert yourself into our marriage. The room fell silent again. Everyone turned to look at Sierra, waiting for her. And when you play with my family, you play in with everything I stand for. Sierra better watch how she moves, 'cause next time I ain't holding back. Meanwhile, Sierra's confessional painted a different picture. Look, I didn't come to start no war, but I'm not going to sit around and act blind when I hear something. If Mendeecees is so secure in his situation, then he shouldn't be worried about what I say, period. If it's not true, then it'll fade away. But if it is, trust me, it'll come out. And that was the cliffhanger. Viewers were left with questions. Was Sierra stirring the pot just for drama? Or was there truth behind her words? Could Mendeecees and Yandi withstand another storm aimed at their marriage? And most importantly, how long before this rumor turned into something much bigger? Love and hip-hop had always thrived on drama. But this was something else. It wasn't just a fight. It was the collision of pride, loyalty, and reputation in a world where nothing stayed hidden forever. And whether Mendeecees liked it or not, the battle had only just begun. And there you have it. This love and hip-hop drama just keeps getting wilder by the day. If you're just as shocked as we are, make sure you hit that like button. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the latest updates and behind-scenes tea. Turn on that notification bell, too, because trust me, you don't want to be the last one to find out when the next bombshell drops.